Question 12. Differentiate the following expressions with respect to x. Part 1 is a polynomial in x. So we differentiate term by term. And to differentiate, we multiply by the exponent, so it's 4 times 4 to give us 16, and then you reduce the exponent by 1, so 4 goes to 3. And the same is, we multiply 3 by minus 3 to get minus 9, reduce x cubed by 1 to get x squared. On this term we multiply 2 by 2, reduce 2 to 1, so we get 4x. On this one, this is x. On this term, 5x to the 1. Multiply 5 by 1 to get 5, reduce the term by 1, so we get x to the 0, which is 1. And this term is like 7x to the 0. We multiply by 0, so the term disappears. Okay, the second term is a product, so we need to use the product rule. We'll let e to the 4x equal u, cos 4x minus 3 equal v, and then dy by dx is u dv dx plus v du dx. So doing those terms, we're going to get u dv dx, differentiating cos we get minus sine, and then we've got a linear factor here, so we've got to multiply by the differential of the factor, and then we're going to get cos 4x minus 3 times the differential of e to the 4x, which is going to be 4e to the 4x, because again we've got a linear function of x. So on a question like this, we'd take 4e to the 4x outside a bracket. I'll put the cos first because it's a positive sign and the sign's a negative sign, and that's part 2. For part 3, we've got a quotient. So sine 3x minus 5 is u, and the polynomial in the denominator is v. dy by dx is v du dx minus u dv dx over v squared. So v is the polynomial times the differential of sine 3x, which is going to be cos 3x times 3 because of the linear factor. U is the sine term there. The differential of the polynomial is going to be 3x squared plus 6x minus 2, and that's going to be divided by v squared. There's not much we can do here by way of simplification, so we'll just tidy it up a little bit, and we'll get 3 cos 3x minus 5 times the polynomial minus sine 3x minus 5 times the differentiated version of the polynomial over the denominator squared. Part 4 is also a quotient. So again, the numerator is u, the denominator is v, and dy by dx is v du dx minus u dv dx over v squared. So that becomes x cubed times 1 over x. The differential of log 2x is going to be 1 over 2x, and then you multiply that by the differential of the argument because it's a linear factor, so the 2's will cancel and you get 1 over x, and then you've got minus u dv dx. So differential of x cubed is going to be 3x squared divided by x to the 6. Okay, we can cancel the 3 with the 1 over x here, giving us x squared. I can then take an x squared outside of the bracket, so I've got 1 minus 3 log 2x. The x squared will cancel with 2 of the x's in the denominator, giving us our final answer of 1 minus 3 log 2x over x to the 4. Part B. On your crib sheet at the end of the exam paper, you're given the expression delta z equals dz by dx delta x plus dz by dy delta y, and we've got omega is equal to v over r, so we replace all the z's with omega, and all the x's are replaced with v's and all the y's are replaced with r's, which means that delta omega equals d omega dv times delta v plus d omega dr delta r. So let's differentiate omega equals v over r. We get d omega dv is equal to 1 over r, and d omega dr is equal to minus v over r squared. Substitute those into this equation here, and we get delta omega is equal to delta V over R minus V delta R over R squared. In the question we're given the change in linear velocity and the increase in radius as a percentage, which means that we don't want delta omega, we want delta omega over omega. So I'm going to divide the left hand side by omega and divide the right hand side by V over R. Dividing by V over R is the same as multiplying by R over V. If you think about it, dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by a half. It's the same process. Delta V over R, the R will cancel, so that term will become delta V over V. And in this term, I've got a V and an R, which will cancel with the R and the V outside, which means I'm going to get delta R over R. Now delta V over V is a decrease in linear velocity of 3%, so that's going to be minus 3, and delta R over R is an increase in radius, so that is a positive quantity, but obviously we have a minus sign there. So I've now got minus 3% minus 2% gives me a total of minus 5%. Part C. For your answer in Part B, state with reasons why you think the answer is right. We know omega is equal to V over R, so a decrease in V will lead to a decrease in omega, and an increase in V will mean an increase in omega. But R is on the denominator, which means a decrease in R will lead to an increase in omega, and an increase in R will lead to a decrease in omega. So a decrease in V will lead to a decrease in omega, and an increase in R will also lead to a decrease in omega. Added together, we would expect the 5% decrease.